Welcome to the third session. We are using Indian knowledge systems for creating a global well-being curriculum. In this session, we are using Indian knowledge systems' second way of knowing to infer. The inferences from hundreds of texts over thousands of years, we are inferring what is Indian knowledge systems. Among the knowledge systems of the world, what do you think is the difference between Indian knowledge systems and others? You have seen the synopsis of the course and spent a week or so thinking about it. It is time for you to review what you have grasped and what needs to be emphasized more. We pause for you to write down your answer to a question. In your opinion, is the anatomy, starting with the backbone of thought, configured differently in the Indian knowledge systems? How will such configuration create well-being, not just prosperity? In case you could not complete the answer, use the minutes of silent sitting break after the class to ponder over this question carefully, clarify your ideas, and seek answers that are right to you. From current knowledge system to Indian knowledge system, as we travel, we want to know what does a study of Indian knowledge systems include. Springer's Encyclopedia of the History of Science, Technology and Medicine in Non-Western Cultures, edited by Helen Selen, mentions that, and I quote, traditionally all knowledge in India has been traced to the Vedas, unquote. However, it is the spirit that pervades these texts that is important. This spirit forms ideas that lead to a way of living life. It impacts personal practices of the individuals and influences the way he or she interacts with society. Such a spirit is found in philosophical texts of Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, etc. Hence, our study of Indian knowledge systems must include all ideas that influence individual practices that create balance within human beings as well as balance within society. Such inner balance, leading to balance in society, prevents social and economic problems. The application of education in daily life has the same goal. Hence, integration of the spirit that pervades the texts of all streams of Indian knowledge systems will be identified. This then will be integrated in education curriculum. When education is comprehended from such an understanding of truth, it will prevent social and economic problems. The Vedas are considered eternal. So we are just now exploring what the study of Indian knowledge systems includes. The Vedas deal with righteous conduct for the individual that creates social order in society that is in tune with nature. Its concepts are described as Sanatan Dharma. In Buddhism's Lotus Sutra, for example, Britannica.com states, the Buddha has become the divine eternal Buddha who attained perfect enlightenment endless eons ago, unquote. The concept of eternity of origin is similar here. Its eightfold path includes right conduct. A peer-reviewed academic source, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, states about Jainism that according to its own traditions, the teachings of Jainism are eternal. In Jainism, the soul is eternal. It exists forever. The individual, through actions and conduct, seeks infinite knowledge, infinite wisdom, infinite power, and infinite bliss. Thus, the eternal nature of the source of teachings is common in all three. Their application for living life by the individual personally and in society is common too. All of them make application of teachings in life the central theme. It is called dharma, righteous conduct. It is the basis of ancient Indian knowledge systems. All three investigate the truth in different ways. Buddhism explores the cause of sorrow. To who am I in Vedanta? To comprehend it, as in Jainism's threefold path, which includes right belief, right conduct, and right knowledge. Finally, all apply it in right conduct that one does. Wisdom joins society through unity. Therefore, behind its many perspectives, its concept is one. Indian knowledge system incorporates it. What does a study of Indian knowledge systems include? Indian knowledge system explores the spirit of living life, enabling human potential to be actualized. It does not bind itself to any religion. It embraces the spirit of all from all sources. Let us examine this embracing quality. Britannica.com states, and I quote, "The Parsis emigrated to India to avoid religious persecution." Unquote. Maybe between 8th through 10th century this happened. Britannica.com speculates that Indo-Iranians had common ancestors, and texts of the Vedas and Avesta have common gods like Mitra, and both use fire sacrifice ritual. The spirit of their knowledge system, good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, is integrated in the Indian knowledge system. In fact, it's its core. IKS embraces the truth from all sources freely. This is its first quality. Islami history website states that the first mosque in India was built during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in 629 AD by Ramavarma, a Chera dynasty ruler. It was built at the behest of a pious son of a Persian slave, Malik ibn Dinar, who changed from a person, it is quoted, as known for his oppression and alcoholism to a pious person. Similarly, the Christian History Institute gives 52 AD as the time when Apostle Thomas came to India and established 7 congregations. Wikipedia quotes the Encyclopedia of Christianity to give the same timeline. Ignoring all the ideas and research about Christ spending his missing years in the Himalayas, the spirit of Christianity that integrates with the concepts of Indian knowledge system needs identification and application for its holistic understanding. Indian knowledge system includes Charvak philosophy. Its origins are not clear, so can its interpretations be trusted? Either way, its hedonistic interpretation, challenging all or many precepts, shows diversity of the Indian knowledge system. What should a study of Indian knowledge systems include? History has shown that successful conversion to a religion often follows a conquest. Very many were needed to lay bricks to build the first fire temple, the first church, or the first mosque in India. Were those who executed the tasks celebrating the truth that these religions were seeking? No conquest is recorded for building the first places of worship of all religions in India. Thus, seeking of truth is celebrated in Indian knowledge system. Alternate ways of arriving at the same conclusion, Ekam Sat, Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, are respected and given respectful space. Any study of Indian knowledge system should inculcate such an attitude of respecting diversity and seeking unity within it. This is the way that is the core of its study. Application of knowledge requires this attitude. Thus, any study of Indian knowledge system must be centered around the core human values that are common to all faiths, religions, and cultures that seek the truth as a guide to living life. These must be identified first. In an academic and scientific world, evidence is needed that these values can achieve the goal of education. Such evidence should be included to verify the authenticity of application of these values in society. What can a study of Indian knowledge systems answer? A study of Indian knowledge systems should answer the eternal questions facing us: the meaning of life. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy states, and I quote, "When the topic of the meaning of life comes up, people tend to pose one of three questions. What are you talking about? What is the meaning of life? And is life in fact meaningful?" It discusses what, if anything, makes life meaningful, examining the answers of Aristotle on human function, Aquinas on beatific function, and Kant on the highest good. It points out the view of Schopenhauer when he remarks that whenever we reach a goal we have longed for, we discover, and I quote, "how vain and empty it is," unquote. It points out that, and I quote, "while these concepts have some bearing on happiness and virtue and their opposites, they are straightforwardly construed roughly as accounts of which higher order final ends, if any, a person ought to realize that would make her life significant." Unquote. Modern psychology introduced the concept of a need hierarchy of humans. Maslow gave self-actualization as the peak of human needs, which will be fulfilled if lower order needs are met. However, in the world where lower order needs are being met, today self-actualization does not seem to be the predominant force or the focus of human endeavor. The question is how to seek it. The earlier lecture showed how Indian knowledge system went beyond sense perception to investigate the source of power of creation, preservation, and destruction. Does Indian knowledge system meet the three criteria of investigating truth, comprehending it, and applying it? Scientific investigation into truth is conducted by quantum physics. Nobel laureate Schrödinger investigated the truth of reality. How did he comprehend and grasp it? What knowledge system did he find useful to do it? Cambridge University Press published his essays titled "My Views of the World." Amazon summarizes his view that investigates, comprehends, and applies truth as follows, and I quote, "Schrödinger's worldview, derived from the Indian writings of the Vedanta, is that there is only a single consciousness of which we are all different aspects." He admits that this view is mystical and metaphysical and incapable of logical deduction. But he also insists that this is true of the belief in an external world capable of influencing the mind and of being influenced by it. Schrödinger's worldview leads naturally to a philosophy of reverence for life. Unquote. His book titled "What is Life" has a section on mind and matter. It is summarized in the contents as follows: the problem, a tentative answer, ethics, again the application after comprehending truth. Does Indian knowledge system meet the three criteria of investigating truth, comprehending it, and applying it? Schrödinger is not the only investigator into reality seeking application or inspiration from India. Niels Bohr, another Nobel laureate quantum physicist, is quoted as saying, I quote, "I go to the Upanishads to ask questions," unquote. Nobel laureate Brian Josephson, who too explores quantum physics, he set up the mind-matter unification project at Cavendish to explore the idea of intelligence in nature and the relationship between quantum mechanics and consciousness. In answering the question, and I quote the question, "Can science provide ultimate answers?" unquote, in August 2021, he replied, and I quote, "Science is what scientists do. By changing scientists, you change science," unquote. Will a changed comprehension of science impact its application? In July 2020, he recommends considering the Vedic model, and I quote, "It would be useful to use them as a guide to one's theories." He further adds, "I think we may find important principles that may be in the first 9 words of the Rig Veda contain all in a sense," unquote. He adds, "It is one aspect of getting mind into physics which you won't find in conventional cognitive science," unquote. Does Indian knowledge system meet the three criteria of investigating truth, comprehending it, and applying it? Oppenheimer, a quantum physicist, the father of the atomic bomb, admired the Bhagavad Gita. In later life, he is quoted as having said that the Gita shaped his philosophy of life. He argued against further development of the bomb and resigned his post the same year on seeing its devastating capacity. James A. Heggia presented at the American Philosophical Society the text of the Gita that Oppenheimer thought of when he witnessed the first explosion at the New Mexico desert. Carl Sagan, on page 157 of his book Cosmos, acknowledges Indian knowledge systems, and I quote, "Very likely the universe has been expanding since the Big Bang, but it is by no means clear that it will continue to expand forever. The expansion may gradually slow, stop, and reverse itself. If there is less than a certain critical amount of matter in the universe, the gravitation of the receding galaxies will be sufficient to stop the expansion and the universe will run away forever. But if there is more matter than we can see, hidden away in black holes, say, or in hot but invisible gas between the galaxies, then the universe will hold together gravitationally and partake of a very Indian succession of cycles: expansion followed by contraction, universe upon universe, cosmos without end. If we live in such an oscillating universe, then the Big Bang is not the creation of the cosmos, but merely the end of the previous cycle, the destruction of the last incarnation of the cosmos." Unquote. What can be the impact of investigation of truth of reality? Werner Heisenberg was a Nobel laureate. He investigated reality through quantum physics. Penguin has published his book titled Physics and Philosophy. This reflects the influence and impact philosophy has with reality. He explains his contribution of uncertainty principle in this book. The publisher mentions on the back cover about the contents that, and I quote, "Words and concepts familiar in daily life can lose their meaning in the world of relativity and quantum physics." Unquote. It goes on to say, and I quote, "This in turn has profound philosophical implications for the nature of reality and for our total worldview." Unquote. Can the words and concepts familiar to human sense organs be adequate tools for judging reality? Can education curriculum ignore importance of a philosophy that reveals the truth beyond them? Why study Indian knowledge systems? Indian knowledge systems have a purpose. It is to seek wisdom. This is their sole source. The very name of the system is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means eternal. Dharma is righteous conduct. It also means law. Hence, its knowledge system investigates the truth of eternal laws. Eternal implies that these should have universal acceptance. No narrow view is correct. It catalyzes human conduct to act in accordance with such universally accepted norms. This ancient wisdom makes civilizations last and is the source of Indian knowledge systems. In case its ideas deserve criticism, one test of wisdom judges the interpretation given. If the application of knowledge does not meet the above criteria, it is worthy of rejection. How to study Indian knowledge systems? Any study of Indian knowledge system deals with two primary things: search for the nature of truth and behavior that is in alignment with this truth. Hence, a course on Indian knowledge systems seeks proof of genuine interest in it. To learn its concept of universal eternal laws, only two preconditions of behavior exist. Each one should agree to speak the truth and to follow righteous conduct. A daily diary can record it. It need not be shared with anyone. How to study Indian knowledge systems? A study of oneself is the beginning of the study of the universal laws in this system. A mirror helps check physical hygiene. This practice holds a mirror for mental hygiene. This practice of speaking the truth and maintaining a daily diary is like a mirror for mental hygiene. As the mind has to absorb knowledge, can a tainted mirror give a good reflection? Indian knowledge systems are based on three steps: self-observation, self-discovery, and self-discipline. When all graduating students follow self-discipline in society, problems get mitigated. This is the basis of education of Indian knowledge systems, captured in 4 words: Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara. The simple course requirement is that we maintain a diary to record if we have spoken the truth. Its contents remain confidential. The purpose is to ensure emotional hygiene, just as we maintain physical hygiene. Wisdom believes that habits build character, and to transform human attitudes and enable human values, it uses these practices. The goal of well-being is achieved in IKS by using the mind. There are many ways of bringing the mind to see the truth or reality. One way is by asking it questions. Buddha saw a funeral and asked it questions about the source of sorrow. Each person is free to ask questions in his own or her own way. Here is a sample. In the history of the world, many scholars who have learned a lot. It had many rulers, conquerors, and rich people who have acquired many things. All of them may have enjoyed many things. Where are they now? What has happened to them? Why did we part with them? What benefit did we derive from them? When we inquire in this way, we will realize that the things we enjoyed and the experiences we had are like figures of puppets on a screen. They are like clouds that come and go. Then the question arises, how to seek and know the basic truth about human condition? The human prosperity, enjoyment did not last for all those people. Nowhere in history is it everlasting. It was the truth then, but it may not be the truth now. This kind of phenomena is a fleeting truth. A fleeting truth can only give fleeting joy, not permanent joy. Should we not seek a truth that gives permanent happiness and removes sorrow? When questions like this are asked, they merge with Buddha's question, even though we start differently. The mind remains active or hyperactive. Until we recognize its working, we cannot calm it to see the unchanging truth. If we are sitting in a train that is not moving and a fast moving train passes by, does it give us an idea that we are moving? If the real truth hidden in the train of the body sees a fast moving train of thought, will it not get an illusion that it too is moving? This will obscure the understanding that the truth is stable, unchanging. Too many thoughts lead to too much confusion. How to empty the mind and make its focus on the unchanging truth? Ancient wisdom describes it in this way. I quote, "If you take a vessel with water and pour it into the ocean, you cannot recover that water again. If smoke goes up in the sky, it cannot be collected again. An apple that has been eaten and digested cannot be got back, but the stuff of the mind cannot be merged in an ocean or sent up to the sky or consumed as food. The workings of the mind cannot be eliminated by these processes." Unquote. Many people testify to the strength single-mindedness gives them. They call it the ability to control the mind and focus it on one thing so that all its energy can address one issue. Not only that, it respects the power of the mind to travel over any distance, maybe travel at a speed faster than light. Should such a powerful entity be sought to be tamed? Indian knowledge system does not treat the mind as an animal that can be trained by putting on a leash. Instead, it recognizes its independent entity. It concludes that it is difficult to control the mind. Why? It feels that the mind is lighter, if not as light as air. It asks a basic question: can we hold air in our grasp? It concludes that it is difficult to confine air in one's grasp. Likewise, it concludes that how can anyone control the mind, which is all embracing in the vastness of its range and comprehension? When this is realized that the mind is made up of thoughts and doubts, the elimination of the thoughts is the means of restricting the mind. Thoughts are associated with desires. As long as desires remain, one cannot detach oneself from the mind. This is what it finds. Thus, it says it is necessary to limit desires. Let us take the example of driving a car. for understanding ancient wisdom's idea of dealing with the mind. If the car that you drive, in it, if you press the accelerator, it picks up speed. Before pressing the accelerator of thoughts, one has to see the state of road and curves, bends and the ups and downs. Also, we have to see if the brakes are there in the car. Similarly, the experience of living in the world will always have ups and downs, leading to joy and sorrow. A mind kept under restraint helps as far as possible. The car cannot move unless the accelerator is pressed, but this should be done with circumspection. In making this journey, this caution should be observed. Likewise, we need the mind, but it has always to be used in the proper way. According to the ancient wisdom of India, all social and economic problems have their origin in the human mind. This seems to be correct, as these are not natural calamities. If they are caused by human behavior, their solution too should result from a change in human behavior. Indian knowledge systems were designed for this task. A mind that is not guided correctly by the intellect is thus the cause of problems. The intellect enhances the power of humans. It is the greatness of the intellect that distinguishes them from the humans from the animal world. The intellect has the potency to comprehend the entire cosmos. The power of the mind too is vast. It has to be tapped in a fashion that creates well-being, not a crisis for all others but oneself. All of us can go around the country or the world, see many places, meet many people, and have a variety of experiences. The infinite variety of objects, persons, scenes, and experiences are imprinted in the subtle form of the mind. How can a small mind contain the vast panorama and countless objects and impressions? Is there a room in the mind for containing a high mountain? Using such questions, Indian knowledge systems understood the boundless capacity of the mind. How are academicians currently using the mind? How can we use our intellect to merge its current ideas with ideas of IKS to create well-being, not just prosperity? IKS begins differently to reach the goal of well-being, not just prosperity. How it investigates the truth, comprehends it, applies it is a little different. It does so through its techniques of Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. In its terminology, Shravan emerges from inner investigation, the revealed truth. The other part of investigation is there in the model shown. The recognized perspectives communicate ideas part of the model comes from absorption or mulling over the truth. This is called Manan in this tradition. From this absorption of truth, 4 human values that bind faiths, religion, society together emerge. Evidence is application of Nididhyasan or absorption of the truth. It emerges from Manan, the 4 human values that are the basis of religions. How do we know our students are learning? This has perplexed a Harvard philosopher too. At Harvard, there is a Project Zero that is passionate about helping others learn. Founded at the Graduate School of Education in 1967 to inquire into the arts, it uses diverse disciplinary perspectives to examine fundamental questions of human expression and development. Their research is passionate about the big questions, especially those that are conceptual, interdisciplinary, deal with the full range of human development while having a passion for the arts. The concerns of the Indian knowledge system are similar. In addressing all questions, its primary focus is on the art of living life. For this is a correct perspective on what is reality. Unlike Project Zero, its answers are resting on the correct understanding, comprehension, and application of the numeral zero. Project Zero asks, how do I know if my students are learning? What do their thinking and understanding look like? What learning will be most relevant for the lives of my students? Indian knowledge system addresses all these questions. It checks learning by making you write down what you have grasped at the end of each lecture. Mull it over and practice it till you recharge your batteries in the next session. By the end of the course, you should have developed the habit of asking the right questions, mulling over the way to find their answers and practicing the concepts in life. The actions of students in society reflect clearly to all what their thinking and understanding looks like. Just as behavior of graduating students made it clear to all in 2008 what they had learned. Now, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development says learning that creates well-being in society will be the most relevant in students' life. We have yet to see evidence of that in society. Project Zero seeks answers to questions like what are the common grounds that connect good work to making learning visible? And IKS identifies 4 human values as the common ground. These values are shared by all religions and philosophies that have guided civilizations to last for thousands of years. World wars, social strife, chaos and disorder, as well as economic problems may threaten a civilization. Project Zero also seeks answers to what does teaching for understanding have to do with visible thinking? Indian knowledge systems discovered that restricting thinking to the gross or the visible world obscures invisible laws like gravity. This does not recognize our invisible human mind and essence. This restricts understanding of the process of learning and the art of living life. Project Zero pays close attention to the many ways that the mind works. It finds that disposition, experience, and reflection inform the many ways intelligence is developed and expressed. Project Zero concludes that understanding is not something you have but something you do. How does Indian knowledge system bring these concepts to living life? It uses self-observation to check if disposition, experience, and reflection identified by Project Zero have resulted from instruments that are faulty or have no zero error. To see that something you do reflects Project Zero's success, IKS does self-analysis to correct the zero error in the instruments of sense perception. This impacts actions to choose voluntary self-discipline called dharma in its tradition. So how does our Indian knowledge system execute Project Zero in real life? Harvard's Project Zero says disposition, experience, and reflection inform the many ways intelligence is developed and expressed. Indian knowledge system corrects a zero error in the disposition to impact experience, intelligence development, and its usage. How humans act is the final test of ideas of Project Zero. How is the zero error in sense perception corrected in Indian knowledge systems? First, the 6 causes of errors are identified. The project is carried out in the mind. How? The mind is first set to 0 to remove biases resulting from anger, desire, greed, attachment, ego. This begins Project Zero before sense perception is used. Modern psychology also recognizes the impact preconceived notions, predispositions, snap judgment, etc. lead to how they lead to faulty human judgments. Indian knowledge system identifies the 6 causes, making their setting to 0 before using sense perception to judge reality. This is the first step in its practice. A universal or global knowledge system is the best way forward for achieving the need for global competence that has been stressed at Project Zero and by its Future of Learning Institute. Investigators at Project Zero and Asia Society in a paper conclude that global competence requires 4 things: investigating the world through disciplinary and interdisciplinary study, recognizing perspectives, communicating ideas, and taking action. This series of sessions will investigate the world by using disciplinary studies of subjects and interdisciplinary studies between them, as well as by recognizing perspectives of wisdom. The course will communicate these ideas and hopefully prepare students for global competence. Harvard's Mansilla, the Asia Society's Schwartz and Jackson, in their framework of global competence, start with the need for investigation. However, ancient Indian knowledge system starts this investigation in 2 ways, not one. It states that the instrument for investigating the truth of the world is oneself. It seeks the truth of the instrument to know the limitations of the findings using the instrument. We depend on our senses to investigate the truth, but animals have better sense of hearing, smell, etc. Does this mean their investigation of the truth is better? The truth of Indian knowledge system starts with finding out who am I? Who am I? How does self-discipline emerge? Its comprehension in Indian knowledge system emerges from Manan or mulling over reality by resetting the sense perception, removing its zero error. Will it impact the study of economics, management, mathematics, sciences? Indian knowledge systems reveal truth, or Shravan guides actions. Evidence of this is shared later. The evidence arose because students used practices that lead to well-being. Speak the truth is the first among such practices. Correcting the zero error is critical for comprehending not only mathematics but all other disciplines too, starting from science. The three components of a knowledge system, investigating the truth, comprehending it, applying it, emerge from practice, not theory. As we discover the truth of zero together, we will comprehend it together and try to live it together. This is Yantum Drashtatum Praveshtum of the Bhagavad Gita. That will give the Indian knowledge system version of Project Zero being done at Harvard. Indian knowledge system Project Zero shows that individual salvation comes through living in a community. This course lays a deep emphasis on practice. Every attempt is made to make all the lectures very short. A 5-minute slot at the end of this lecture is being given for silent sitting. This is to enable the participant to mull over what is said. Whatever has been heard should be repeated in the mind so that it gets absorbed. Just as sugar is stirred in a cup of tea or coffee with a spoon, use the spoon of silence to stir the sugar of Indian knowledge systems in your mind. It takes some time for the tea or coffee to become sweet. Patience is very important. The perspectives shared in the course will seem meaningful only if such silent sitting is done to mull over what has been said. Else, the half an hour spent in delivering the lectures will be a waste of time. We welcome you to undertake an inner journey during these 5 minutes. Only then will knowledge that is outside you will become wisdom inside you. The time allocated for this is actually 20 minutes, not 5 minutes. The time should be increased gradually. This is also a time for the mind to take rest. In case it cannot do that, mull over whether the voice of the conscience has guided you at any time in life till now. We accept challenges for the physical body in games. In a gym, we can have a 20 minutes plank challenge. We may exchange challenges on the quantity of food we can eat. Can we go beyond such challenges to the second step of the Indian knowledge systems? Can we see if the mind itself can take rest and maybe stop working? Can we explore what will happen if it becomes zero? Remember, it is not good to challenge the mind. It rebels and makes you do the opposite of what you want it to do. It is far simpler to observe the mind. For doing this, first the physical body should move as little as possible. Observe the mind as it tells the body to move. You are not telling the body to move, the mind is telling the body to move. Observe the mind. Move away from the mind and see what it is forcing the body to do. Watch the mind as if you are sitting on a fan at a distance. When you are at home, Shavasana in yoga is a good posture for this practice. Try to first silence the body, then the mind. For those who have mastered this, they can try the next method. When you think of nothing, can you experience love without giving it a shape of a thing like your favorite food or a thing that you want to own or the physical form of a person? Can it just be love without an emotion to a person or a thing? Can it be love for the sake of love? How do you experience loving yourself? The purpose of this course is to help you discover yourself, that loving being beyond the body and the mind.